How many times have we found ourselves in situations in which we feel overwhelmed by the amount of problems and decisions we have to make? At those moments, our mind is filled with doubts, fears, and concerns. We find ourselves in a constant state of analysis, trying to find solutions and answers on our own. But what would happen if we simply decided to trust God and stop worrying so much? In this video, we will explore this concept in depth. We will talk about the importance of faith and trust in God, and how we can learn to let go of our worries and let His power guide our lives. We will dive into the scriptures, share inspiring stories, and offer practical advice on how we can apply these principles in our daily lives. So, if you ever felt that life is too overwhelming, that decisions are too difficult, or that worries are consuming you, this video is for you. I invite you to stay with us. Open your heart and mind, and discover how trusting God can change your life in a profound and meaningful way. To begin, let's talk about what it really means to trust God. This is a concept that may seem simple in theory, but putting it into practice is a completely different matter. First, I want you to imagine a common situation. You are facing a problem in your life. Perhaps it is a problem at work, a difficult relationship, or a concern about the future. Our natural reaction is to think and think, look for solutions, and try to control each aspect of the situation. We tell ourselves that if we think enough, eventually we will find a solution. But this is where the power of trusting God comes in. Trusting God means that we recognize that we do not always have all the answers, and that it is good not to have them. It means that we believe that God has a plan for us, even when we cannot see it. It is to accept that, even if we do not understand why certain things happen to us, God has control, and His purpose for us is good. For some, this may sound like an abstract idea, so let's make it more concrete. Imagine that you are on a ship in the middle of a storm. The wind blows strongly. The waves are huge, and it seems that the ship is going to sink. Now imagine that you have on board the best captain in the world, someone who has sailed through the worst storms and has always been victorious. Trusting God is like trusting that captain. You do not need to know how he is going to handle each wave or each gust of wind. You just need to know that He will do it. The Bible is full of stories that illustrate this point. A classic example is the story of Moses and Exodus. The Israelites were trapped between the Egyptian army and the Red Sea without an apparent exit. But Moses trusted God, and the sea opened, allowing the Israelites to cross safely. This story shows us that when we trust God, He can make it impossible. So how can we begin to develop this trust in God? Here are some practical steps. Prayer. Prayer is a powerful way to connect with God. It is not just about asking for things, but about opening our hearts and sharing our worries, fears, and hopes. Through prayer, we can feel His presence and guide in our lives. Study the scriptures. The Bible is an inexhaustible source of wisdom and comfort. When we read the scriptures, we can find stories, teachings, and promises that remind us of the power and love of God. Surrounding ourselves with people who share our faith can be of great help. Together, we can support each other, encourage each other, and remember the importance of trusting God. Reflection and gratitude. Taking time to reflect on the blessings in our lives and thanking God for them helps us see His hand in everything we do. Remember, trusting God does not mean that we will never have problems or challenges. It means that when we face these challenges, we can do so with the assurance that we are not alone and that God is with us, guiding and protecting us. It is normal to have doubts and fears when we try to trust God. We live in a world where we are taught to depend on ourselves, to seek practical and tangible solutions. So how can we overcome those doubts and fears to really trust God? First, it is important to recognize that having doubts does not mean that we are bad believers. Doubts are part of the human experience and can be an opportunity to strengthen our faith. It is like a muscle. For it to be strengthened, it needs to be exercised. One of the most powerful examples in the Bible of someone who faces doubts is the Apostle Peter. This story teaches us that even in the midst of our doubts and fears, God is there to support us and help us. So how can we face our own doubts and fears? Here are some practical strategies. Accept your doubts. The first thing is to accept that doubts are normal. Do not punish yourself for having them. Instead, use your doubts as an opportunity to deepen your faith and look for answers. Look for answers in the Bible. Many times, the answers to our doubts are found in the Scriptures. Spend time reading and meditating on the Word of God. You will find stories and teachings that will help you strengthen your faith. Speak with God about your doubts. Prayer does not have to be just to ask for good things. You can be completely honest with God about your fears and doubts. He understands and wants to help you overcome them. Talk to people of faith. Sometimes talking to someone who has had similar experiences can be very encouraging. Look for people of faith in your community with whom you can share your struggles and receive support and advice. Remember God's promises. The Bible is full of God's promises to us. One of the most comforting verses is Isaiah 41:10, where God says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not faint, for I am your God who strengthens you. I will always help you. I will always support you with the right hand of my justice." Remembering these promises can give us the strength to move forward. Act in spite of fear. Sometimes the best way to overcome fear is to face it. Take small steps of faith, trusting that God is with you. As you see how God works in your life, your confidence will grow. It is crucial to remember that trusting God is a continuous journey. There will be moments of doubt and fear, but each of those moments is an opportunity to get closer to Him and strengthen our faith. So far, we have talked about what it means to trust God and how to face our doubts and fears. Now, let's see what happens when we really trust God and how we can experience His power in our lives. First, I want to share an inspiring story from the Bible that clearly shows God's power in action. The story of David and Goliath. Most of us know this story, but let's go over it briefly. David, a young shepherd, faced the giant Goliath, a Philistine warrior who had terrorized the army of Israel. No one dared to face Goliath, but David trusted God. With only a wave and a stone, and with the faith that God was with him, David defeated Goliath. This story is a powerful reminder that no matter how great the challenges we face, when we trust God, His power manifests itself in our lives. But how can we see this power in our daily lives? Little miracles. Daily, we often think of miracles as big events, but God also works in the little details of our lives. Maybe it's an unexpected solution to a problem, a casual encounter that turns out to be significant, or a sense of peace in the midst of a storm. These little miracles are signs of God's power in action. Personal transformation. When we trust God, we see changes in ourselves. Maybe before we were impatient, and now we find more peace and patience in our lives. Or maybe before we were constantly worried, and now we feel more confidence and serenity. These internal changes are proof of God's transformative power. Restore relationships. Faith in God can also bring health to our relationships. Maybe you've had a tense relationship with a friend or a family member. When you pray and trust God, you can see how He works to restore that relationship, bringing forgiveness and reconciliation, direction and purpose. Trusting God helps us find direction and purpose in our lives. Sometimes we feel lost or insecure about the path ahead, but when we put our trust in God, He guides us. Proverbs 3.5.6 tells us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own intelligence. Recognize Him in all your ways, and He will straighten your paths." This means that by trusting in God, we can find clarity and purpose in our decisions and actions, overcoming obstacles. Life is full of challenges and obstacles, but with trust in God, we can overcome them. Maybe you're facing a disease, financial difficulties, or problems at work. By trusting in God and seeking His guidance, we can find solutions and strength that we didn't know we had. I want to encourage you to take a moment to reflect and look at how God is working in your life when you face challenges. It may not always be evident at first, but over time, you will see His hand guiding and supporting you. So far, we've talked about what it means to trust in God, how to face our doubts and fears, and how to see the power of God in action. Now, let's focus on how we can cultivate and maintain this trust in God in our daily lives. This is a continuous process that requires practice and dedication. Develop a prayer routine. Prayer is essential to strengthen our relationship with God. Devote time each day to speaking to God, not just to ask Him for things, but also to thank Him and seek His guidance. Prayer can be at any time and place. It can be a short prayer while you're driving to work, or a longer conversation before going to sleep. The important thing is to make prayer a regular part of your life. Study the Bible regularly. The Bible is a source of inspiration and strength. Devote time to reading and meditating on the scriptures. Look for verses that speak about trusting God and reflect on how to apply them in your life. You can use Bible applications, daily devotionals, or join a Bible study group to deepen your understanding. Spiritual journaling. Carrying a spiritual journal can be a powerful tool to maintain your faith. Write down your thoughts, prayers, and experiences. Write down the ways you've seen God work in your life. This habit will not only help you remember God's blessings, but will also provide you with perspective and a record of your spiritual growth. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is an effective way to strengthen our trust in God. Devote time to thanking God for blessings in your life, big and small. This can be as simple as thanking God for a sunny day, a meaningful conversation, or a delicious meal. Gratitude helps us focus on the positive and recognize God's presence in our lives. Surround yourself with a community of faith. Do not underestimate the power of a community of faith. Participate in your local church. Join small Bible study groups. And look for friends who share your faith. Having people you can talk to about your faith, sharing your struggles and joys, and praying together can be very encouraging and strengthening. Acts of service. Serving others is a way to express our faith in action. Look for opportunities to help those around you. It can be through volunteering in your community, helping a neighbor, or participating in church service projects. By serving others, we are following an example of Jesus and demonstrating our trust in God through our actions. Meditation and silence. Taking time for meditation and silence can help you listen to God's voice. In a world full of noise and distractions, it is important to find a moment of stillness to connect with God. You can practice Christian meditation by focusing on a verse or a prayer, or simply sit in silence and allow God to speak to your heart. Remember God's promises. Keep in mind the promises of God that are found in the Bible. Write them down and place them in visible places, like your mirror, your desk, or the dashboard of your car. Remembering these promises daily will help you maintain your trust in God, especially in difficult times. Cultivating and maintaining our trust in God is a continuous journey. There will be ups and downs, but every step you take will bring you closer to Him and strengthen your faith. Remember that you are not alone on this path. God is with you at every step of the way, guiding and supporting you. The Bible is an inexhaustible source of wisdom and comfort. On its pages, we find verses that encourage us to trust in God, even in the most difficult times. These verses can serve as anchors for our faith, reminding us that God is always with us and that we can trust fully in Him. Here are some of the most powerful. Proverbs 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own intelligence. Recognize Him in all your ways, and He will straighten your paths. This verse reminds us that our trust must be in God, not in our own skills or understanding. When we recognize God in everything we do, He guides our steps and shows us the right path. Jeremiah 29.11. For I know the plans I have for you, saith the Lord, plans of well-being and not calamity, to give you a future and a hope. God has a plan for each one of us, and those plans are good. Although sometimes we do not understand why certain things happen, we can trust that God has a purpose and a future full of hope for us. Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. Do not worry about anything. Rather, on every occasion with prayer and prayer, present your requests to God and thank Him. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will take care of your hearts and your thoughts in Christ Jesus. This verse invites us to take our concerns to God in prayer and to thank Him for His blessings. Instead, He gives us a peace that goes beyond our understanding, a peace that protects our heart and mind. Isaiah 40.31. But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength, will fly like eagles, will run and will not be tired, will walk and will not be tired. Trusting in God gives us the strength to move forward, even when we are tired or discouraged. It raises us above our circumstances and gives us the energy to continue. Psalm 46.1. God is our refuge and strength, our early help in tribulations. In times of difficulty, God is our refuge and strength. We can go to Him in search of help and find comfort and protection in His presence. Romans 8.28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, those who have been called according to his purpose. This verse assures us that God is working in all things for our good. Even when we face challenges, we can trust that God has a purpose and is working in our lives for our benefit. Psalm 37, verse 5. Command the Lord your way. Trust in him and he will act. By giving our ways and decisions to God, we can trust that he will act in our favor. We do not need to carry the burdens alone. We can trust that God is in control. These verses are not only comforting words, but powerful promises from God. By memorizing them, meditating on them, and applying them in our daily lives, we can strengthen our faith and our trust in God. I encourage you to write them down, read them daily, and allow these words to penetrate your heart.